Deep, you good?
Let me just download it really quick. Okay.
Are we ready to start? Oh wait, no, not Natty. Oh, are you judging for? Are you judging for Natty? Okay, cool. Alright, perfect.
You go. Everybody good? Okay.
Humans have an innate right to independence. It's what distinguishes them from objects. Shifting one, a person is being capable of setting their own purpose, while thinking something you use in pursuit of purpose or capacity. Setting your own purpose is just your own person. You're independent. You're the one who decides what purposes you will pursue. You're independent. Another person's choices. That person gets to decide what purposes you will pursue. Each person is entitled to be your own master. There are two models of freedom: the non-interference model and the non-domination model. Prefer the non-domination model. The non-interference model of freedom deprives people of honor and decency. Pedant 1. Presumption against state interference, preventing or reducing interference. You need strong evidence that state interference will do more harm than good. This presumption is likely to ensure you decide on lazy for policy. You can teach us without the power of interfering in the rights and sensitivity of freedom is non-interference with institutional humiliation and hacks to moral liberty. The best range may involve leaving some people with the power of interfering weight on his Venus, anything Venus out there, recent paper bit. He has some perceiving with such domination humiliation falls as more part of the position when the answers. So respect is really compromised that the person will lack an independent voice. No theory should deprive people of honor and basic human decency. Pedant 2. The decent society is one in which the institutions do not humiliate people that honor, mind, and self-respect, be pride, honors, be cut out of conversation, be persist intimately tied up with enjoying a certain status, communion with others, honors, basic human good and decency, the social value of the first importance, non-domination solves and prevents humiliation. Pedant 3. Where someone enjoys freedom is non-domination, that is to be a matter of mutual knowledge among those involved. The question of whether anyone is dominating power of the person with the alienation is bound to be something that relevant parties will want to know about. Such knowledge is bound to ensure non-humiliation. Where it is salient that the person is not subject to the will of any other institution clearly testify, except the person is a full member of the human commonwealth. Enjoying freedom is non-domination means enjoying an institutional basis of self-respect, freedom with honor, your person in your right. Thus the standard is consistency with freedom is non-domination. Standard analysis. 1. Someone has dominating power of A to the capacity to interfere beyond an arbitrary basis C in certain choices that the other is in position to make. This differs from the non-interference model, which only entails that individuals' freedom is violated if they're actually interfered with. For example, a slave with a benevolent master would be free under non-interference because the master lets them set and pursue whatever ends they want, but unfree under freedom is non-domination because their freedom is contingent upon the master's capacity to interfere arbitrarily. 2. Consequences are relevant to the applicant utility of accident only. The establishment of checks on the government decision procedure. This means that a neg can't violate a check even if it appears to decrease domination in that instance. Pedant 4. Those in government will dominate unless their powers are regulated. Anti-power can be promoted this area by traditional measures, rules, law, restraints, regarding its legislative repression, performance of regular election, democratic function, limitation, rotation of office, separation of powers, availability of appeal, and review, provision of information, and like. 3. Interference is arbitrary. The dominating agent is not forced to track the interests of the dominated. Pedant 5. In choosing to interfere, the dominating agent is not forced to track the avowed interest of the individual, and can interfere as normal dictates. An active interference will be arbitrary. These standards are not controlled by the avowable interest of the victim. Thus, if I only contention that takes out coercion terms, because the interference is non-arbitrary, as it establishes a check on the state that benefits the coerced individuals. Refer additionally. 1. Continuous as far as non-domination, a slave with a benevolent master is not free to receive wrongdoing takes the form of domination, both rights and defense of violation can only be executed by reference to the actions of other despot whose benevolent might allow people opportunity to do what they want to do. Direction without up to despot, decide for his independence, care of his relations among citizens of slave, the nature of wrongdoing, even no harm. And 2. Choose civic republics and right the key tools for preventing oppression. Marty 13. Civic republics and the simple idea is avoid domination, harming criminal culture. 26. Cultural punishment is source of the mere fact of being in the mercy of others. In case of domination, be free to enjoy equal social and political status, avoid domination, republic governance, and power of the weak. Plan. Resolve. The United States federal government ought to make national service and citizen militias compulsory. I reserve the right to clarify. Window 3. Like the militia, civic service would be local. The purpose of this national service would be established a 21st century version of the role of amateurs and short-term conference will diminish how resistance can be required to fulfill functions in non-combat roles beyond the foreign of the military, police, force, and new militia. There would be a division of labor between civilians and professionals. Everyone would be required to serve. Offense. Contention 1 is police power. People become conscious of power government who their authoritarian tendencies and right. Psychological evidence for police domination. Debate 15. Criminologists, psychologists, and other social scientists found a large amount of data on the relationship between peace, police behavior, and authoritarianism tendency condemn people who violate conventional values through application of dominating, submission, intervention, exaggeration, desertion, restraint, and cuffs, generals, hostility, disposition, lead out, violent, dangerous things go on in the world, authoritarianism, describe officers, while American belief in cannot rely on authority vested in the uniform and game compliance, they feel compelled to assert their personal authority in this context. Police brutality is understandable. Local culture reinforces authoritarian tendencies of individuals who are authoritarian or more likely to see police recruit from subject and then be more prone to authoritarian behavior. Plan solves the government taking part in governance establishes a check linked to not this national service would establish a militia open to all genders and ethnic groups. The purpose would be to ensure by mandating participation of citizens both in military and police that a separate caste of soldiers with interests and identity distinct from that of the American majority does not form the government can restrain the government by taking part in government alongside the points for individuals from using public power for their own benefit. Just a jury option check on judges. That links to the standard Republican who requires stronger checks on police power. Pedant 97. Modern police represent threats to Republican values. Police forces are nowadays given more enormous powers and are exposed to huge temptations to use of powers. And the use of the powers is subject only to very imperfect controls. Any Republican is going to want to have the police operate under more demanding constraints. Contention to use democratic citizenship. Volunteer forces turn service to commodity that can be bought or sold, degrading civic virtues and LA3. All citizens have an obligation to serve the country, not the sort of thing that people should be free to buy or sell to such service and commodities throughout the related sense of civic virtue that properly attends. And as soon as public service ceases to be the chief concern of the citizens, and they would rather serve with their money than with their principles, the state is not far from its fall. This leads to the standard of civic virtues are according to the concept of Republican citizenship and LA3. According to the Republicans' conception of citizenship to be free to serve, helpful to participate in shaping the forces that government elected justice is necessary that citizens possess civic virtues. The public conception of citizenship sees and cultivate a full range of virtues, including moral bounds, community obligations, fellow citizens, willingness to sacrifice individual interests, deliberative about commonest and compulsory service, foster civic participation in democratic habits. Wheel 14 and drafting and public participation in shared tax rates. Currently, our forces represent 1% of the population. There's no better example of pay. The lack of civic duty voter turnout is lower than in many countries. Public life is in short. How can I best satisfy my needs? Mentality is lack of substantial collective effort, shared experience that binds this nation together. Cut it up together. That links to the standard. Republican citizens must be politically active, place the needs of the community ahead of their interests. The aggro to the good citizens, the public spirit person places the interest of the community ahead of personal interest. Citizens in matter responsibilities of straight to good citizen will discharge these responsibilities from obey traffic laws to military service. Cut it service under review. One use reason building with the red line to be acting about a type of national service and applying throughout the U.S. They still have access to limited link and impact from ground engineers still apply for one community interest subsidy to top where every round becomes about theory which causes substance crowded. Some of education's key companies we only have 2 weeks to make the topic 2 laws for greater breadth of math more allows to learn about more topics. Maximizing education voter is considered law of the activities. If the third one, if the neg means you drop the argument, reevaluating my offense under the incurred by dropping the advocacy, not the offense key to substantive education whenever we start to get to discuss the topic learn as opposed to voting the whole round of theory.
I just didn't read the 3. Oh, did you get where I cut it?
Yeah, it's over here, debating the whole round of theory. Yeah, this is.
And then I cut a couple cards.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so could you just clarify the standard for the debate according to affirmative?
What about it?
Like, could you just clarify what it's about? Like, what is it exactly, civic republicanism?
So this says that we should minimize the capacity for interference by preserving non-domination. The standards analysis makes this clear. Someone has dominating power if they.
So how does compulsory make it minimizing domination exactly?
Yeah, so I have 2 contentions. The first is that right now the police is primarily made up of people who just want to assert their authoritarian tendencies. And the reason they do this is because they feel that they're at a level above the normal citizens, so they feel they have a greater power over them. If everybody is in the police no longer have this power over the citizens because they're all at the same level and they're able to establish a check. The second contention shows that that it's key to democratic citizenship. It encourages this sort of civic virtues where people are participating in government, and that is able to establish a check on the government if people are more civically engaged with it.
Okay, so when you're talking about like civically engaged with the government, like what prevents the government from like not caring?
What do you mean not caring?
Okay, so for example, like let's say like what makes sure like everybody like is in national service?
What?
Like okay, like, for example, like if there's like rich elites who are not in national service, like what if the rich elites are not in national service? They're just like still engaging the civic republicanism.
The act makes rich elites be in national service.
So how does it do that exactly?
Because the plan says they will be forced. It's compulsory, so they'll be forced to.
So because it's compulsory, every single person has to do it.
Yes, that's the Lind evidence. It says that like people who might not be able to like serve on the front lines can serve other
how do you
roles
define
that,
compulsory service?
like non-combat.
Yeah,
roles.
how do you define compulsory service?
Compulsory service. I say that it's where everybody has to serve.
Okay, so does that mean like in military too?
No, the plan is specific. Well, the plan.
So because like people can serve in military, so like why does this? Like if it's just, I mean, if your definition is like really broad, like.
I already plan. If you want to run T, I'll answer T. I think plans are good though.
Okay, I know, but like, what do you define? Like, what's the constraints on national service?
What do you mean? What are the constraints?
Okay, like, who are the people you're trying to like make do? Like, what type of service are they doing? Are they like?
They're like serving in things like police forces, and if they don't have the training, they're also going to be doing like administrative work, but they're like going to be part of the force, and that way they'll be able to establish a check. That's the Lynn evidence. It's very clear.
Okay, cool. And then we're talking about like this idea of people becoming cops the plan solves like government taking part in governance established a check in Lynn 2. Like, could you give me an example in which whenever the people like told the government to do something, they actually listened?
Wait, that's not what the plan does.
I mean, you're saying the plan solves because the government taking part in governance
with the
established a
governors, then that establishes a check.
check. How do you establish a check on the government? Like, what makes sure the government listens to it?
No, it's the point is that you are in the government. So you are checking the government because you are a part of the government and they can't just make decisions. Like, you have to be part of that process.
Okay, I'll be running prep starting now. Okay, stop for time at minute 26.
How much left?
A minute 26. And then I'll just send the. Yeah, I sent it. There's also another file I'm sending it. Because I ran out of space for docs on my laptop. I mean, you can click on it. It's just you can't edit it.
Wait, so cap, then counterclaims. Wait, did you send two?
Yeah, send to everybody, right?
What's the order?
Oh, it's topicality cap, then counterclaim.
Okay.
Have already done. So the option roadmap is just topicality, K, and then.
Wait, TK counterclaim?
Yeah, topicality is K, counterclaim, then K. Sorry. National service is defined to serve in the armed forces. To clarify, the act may only define the offense from a compulsory military service and not civilian service corps like AmeriCorps or other like community service acts. Sheridan one explains how AmeriCorps in U.S. is not a national service program but a loose affiliation arranged service program to primary IDs of a particular program's violation. They're running our argument basically saying it's only for community service and civic engagement. See standards. 1. Limits. The act explores their grounds because they cannot defend civilian service programs or any permutation of those programs. I produce fair limits. A. They can defend any reason why the draft is good, but still gives them multiple apps. A. Locus points key since it is given a starting point for the debate. B. Sharon puts a specific constraint what it means to be a national service, while AmeriCorps is a range of programs drawing a distinction and implications. A. I control internal link to grammatical context since national service is singular in resolution. B. Drawing distinctions puts the most defined limits on half ground. Grammatical context key differences in resolution. It's the only thing we know coming to the round and obvious since it's the only source of strategy limits the key differences and sets a boundary by whilst the necking engaged with AF, while the AF has strategic options. And 2. Field context. The definition comes first from the book of summarizing all the issues trying civic services is the best defined what counts as national service and what is under the umbrella of civic service. Key to education since fields the source of our topic research. And D. Wards warn fairness since debates comparative balance is a wolf for debater, not a cheater. Come first since constraints your evaluation of substance warrant education since critical thinking is an essential component to activity in schools and fun debate perceives substance and determines whether substantial is valuable. Drops the barrier. A. Deter refuse to abuse. B. Rectify time loss running theory. And C. Dropping the argument leads them to severing the next speech and collapsing on issue. D. Trigger the jurisdiction of water and then competing interests. A. Reasonability is arbitrary and invites just intervention. B. Also forces a race to the bottom where the debate comes increasingly abusive and get away from defense and theory. C. Competing interests is best known for creation by prioritizing marginal advantage. And that too, no RES. A. Deters legitimations. They can always bait theory. B. Meta theory solves if my theory is abusive, then you should just run meta theory. C. You shouldn't win from meeting your burden of being fair. And D. Returns to competing interests since I can't concede my interrupt even if I realize it's wrong. So this is basically saying that it's not AmeriCorps or like community service in general. It's only military. Okay, so the cap K. The community service is rooted in capitalism exploitation. Hanova 8 explains how introducing campaign for increased charity to help disadvantaged is the elite benefited community service class interest and encouraged by the ruling class out of fear of revolution. Angel is helped scorn philanthropy. Community service became a part of new political correctness. Peace Corps in America played a role in the prompted by fears of revolution in countries, and volunteerism was promoting the social safety net. Slash America was established to do the jobs no longer be funded. Volunteers live on bare minimum, creating a USA Freedom Corps attempt to run volunteerism tool for spy. Obama's call for universal service included military and community service in an annual revolutionary politics, promoting the illusion that one help ameliorate suffering. So this idea like the civic republicanism is not actually going to check the government, it's used by the government, just like Obama or like other rich elites in this idea of this capitalist agenda. For example, he gave an example like a Peace Corps and Peace Corps. Like they have two organizations who does like community things similar to like that of the affirmative terms like engaging with the government and stuff. And because of that, like it never works. Naturally, critique independently outweighs the case. Neoliberalism causes extinction, massively social equalities. You don't solve for the case. Farbaugh 15 explains how ecological, economic crisis, militarism, we need to transform politics that can challenge and the fundamental cap instead of the sentiment is just do or die. We are in the mindset of six max extinction. Cap is lead to explosive inequality in the economic landscape, literally rising concentration of wealth. Cap is creating global apartheid, cancer like hunger for enemies, growing this system DNA has it set on tragic colonialism with a nature range of solution 10 to be resolutely promising temporary management and critical acts to build transforming politics capital, steering the system away from this destructive pattern. All vote negative to stop participation in all capitalism. Road 4 explains. For destroying capitalism, anti-capitalist structure below them out by draining wealth and power, meaning that until there's nothing left but the capitalist structure, corporation, government, schools is simply banned. Capitalist relations are not fought, but are simply rejected. We stop participating in activities that support capital and stop participating in activities that build a new world while simultaneously undermining the old. And then we have to look to policies that have the potential for precedent, real world consequences, and anything else is abstraction. On Curry 14 explains how despite the pronounced debate and pointing the real world consequences, discussing sees the education of the material disparities of the conquest of the one ideal over the other. The problem contemporary is that the conceptual chasm between actual problems and how we frame such problems theoretically. This gap between actual world and what's represented. The world of is basically like engaging and trying to solve for oppression rather than like going towards a simulated effects or ideal theories of extraction. Now the counter plan, loan forgiveness. The huge federal government should provide loan forgiveness for AmeriCorps members and other members as an incentive. Net benefits, education 1. Loan forgiveness also for higher tuition and dropout. Option 4 explains. Surveys students who drop out of college will find that more than half said financial constraints play an important role in the financial aid completely cover tuition and books would induce them to return to school. Grant aid for low-income students increased persistence raised by as much as 10%, completion rates by at least 50%. Students whose family made them eligible to grant were 4%. And access to higher education is key to decreasing poverty in the long term. And at an individual level, quality education is the only way with only high level of diploma. Thus, under the half-born people in America will remain poor as adults, and students' loans will cause the next economic collapse. Fernandez 228 explains. Youth student loan has debt soared to $1.3 trillion, becoming second highest consumer debt. Student loan debt crisis could spark the next financial crisis in a tremendous drag during the financial crisis 2008-2009. Excessive mortgage debt collapse consumer spending, and then global war world tanks. Economic climate increases the likelihood of conflict, increases Austrian industry redistribution, increasing the risk for miscalculation, trade significant variable, and the expectation for trade decline. So now to go to the case. First, in world value, you have to go to our world value first because it's saying that it becomes prerequisite to this idea of like the affirmative, because like we have to first like look towards ideas of like oppression, and we have to actually look towards like real world consequences rather than going towards like this abstraction like civic republicanism. Because when this idea of standard, he's writing that we have to have consistency with freedom as non-domination, that does not really realize that they're just going to re-entrench capitalism, that they're just going to increase oppression. So in order to make sure like we actually like do not like go towards this ideal and abstractive standards, you have to look towards our role of the ballot. So because you have to like even under that, look towards the fact that the counterplan, the K also solves this idea because it's saying that affirmative will never actually be able to win under their role and under their framework in the first place, because the fact that they'll never have like non-domination, because a rich leader of the government will always like be able to utilize the people in the way they want to by through capitalism. He's not going to advocacy. First, in the contestant one, they talk about how people come cops only because of the negative thing, and the only way to like solve, and he explains this link too, because the government taking part in the government establishes the checks. The problem with the argument is that the argument is not really related to like cops in the first place. The argument is basically talking about like, for example, juries act as a check on judges, and similarly the American majority does not form. The problem is that he discards not like similar like only specific to police and specifically, because the argument is just saying like if the people engage in the government or military and police, like that's a separate caste of soldiers. It's not really arguing the fact like how that would like actually keep government in check. That's just again, it's not gonna. And then the links to standard republicanism requires stronger checks on police power. Again, look towards the fact that republicanism, the idea of it only relies on the fact that people are treated on an equal ground, but oppression exists, people are not treated on equal ground, so we'll never really have civic republicanism. And onto contention when you talk about like democratic citizenship and like volunteer forces turns into commodity, that's actually a term they don't. The idea is that when we conscript people and we force people to, then they're treated as commodities. The idea of volunteerism, it's just going to come even worse. That's why you have to have loan forgiveness, because loan forgiveness will like help these people in the first place, because at least we're not making neoliberalism worse, and we're not making oppression versus the extent that we're at least helping the students. And the idea that compulsory service, and that's like a Wheel 14 card, like serves fosters civic participation, again, it really doesn't, because it does it for a way in which it's just neoliberal in the first place.
Oh, you read everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 6. Okay, what comes first to your K?
Top calorie.
Cool. Status of the alt.
It's unconditional.
Status of the counterplan?
Dispositional.
Under what conditions?
If you like turn the case, like if you just link turn the count.
Okay, otherwise you have to go for it? Awesome.
I mean, I could go for it.
No, if I link turn it, then you don't.
Oh yeah, if you link turn it, then I'll just kick it.
You'll kick it if I link turn it, but if I don't link turn it, then you have to go for it.
Well, yeah.
Okay. How is the counterplan competitive with the app?
Yeah, so I mean, the idea is that right now loan forgiveness is not.
Yeah, I get that. Why can't we just solve loan forgiveness and also do the app?
Yeah, because loan forgiveness is like an alternative to like these certain ideas with national service. Like when you make it compulsory, like the idea is that like loan forgiveness has to be used as funding.
Okay, that's fine. Wait,
I mean,
this is talking about AmeriCorps. Where does the app at all talk about AmeriCorps?
I mean, your idea is so you're just talking about civic engagement in general.
Yes, where do I say AmeriCorps though?
I mean, AmeriCorps fosters things like TFA or teachers and stuff.
No,
like
where does the okay? That's fine. Cap K. Community service. Where does the app defend community service?
The idea of like incorporating into the police and like
The police is community service.
I mean, this is like because like you're talking about like how you had to go to militia and military. Like that's all like community service in terms of under the idea of national service.
Wait, this card is talking about Peace Corps and AmeriCorps. What does that have to do with serving in the police?
Okay, that was just like one advantage, but I'm just saying
How
that
is the
your
whole thing linked?
Yeah, your Songsi Advocate itself talks about like community service in general. If you read the
Where?
card, I mean, you can just read the card. I mean,
Don't
I can.
show me in my card. I think I know my solvency advocate.
Okay, I can just show it to you. Yeah. For example, it says civic service will be local, not national. So like your
Yes,
card
but they're
talks about
serving in
civic service.
local police forces. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about T. Why is your limit standard? Why? Wait. How do I explode limit?
Yeah, because you're not defending military conscription only. So like you're just doing so that you can like basically do kind of what you're doing right now. You can just have like multiple like community service programs or like
Wait, I don't have
ideas.
multiple community services. I just defend conscripting people into the police.
Yeah, but like again, I can't really engage with that type of specific.
Wait,
like,
so because
definition.
you couldn't prep out against a good app, that's my fault?
No, that's what it's trying to say, that like the app explodes to ground. It's like there's more ground for negative to on like military, and that you could
So
easily like ground a military.
it's easier for you. It's easier for you to debate if I.
No, I mean,
if I do an easy app.
Yeah, I also just control the internal link to like grammatically context. Like if you
Okay,
just
your
look at the
definition's about
definition.
AmeriCorps. Where does it say that serving in the?
I mean, it's just saying
police
like
is not
organized.
national
Okay,
service?
AmeriCorps is just one example is people have a misconception, but
Yes,
like
but
the
I don't
actual.
defend AmeriCorps.
Okay, no, I'm just saying that this is one example of a misconception of like thinking it's community service, and the reality is it's military.
Okay. I will start running that. What does it mean to hollow out capitalist structures? What does that mean?
To reject it.
How do we reject it?
Vote negative.
Okay. How is the counter plan? You're saying like student loans are good. How are student loans not capitalist?
No, because like it's saying that we're solving for oppression. So
How are student loans not capitalist? Like you're literally saying we're gonna give you money and like we're trading in this free market. How is that not capitalism? I'm gonna answer your question.
oh, I mean, sorry, wait. No, I mean, because we're not making compulsory. That's why.
It's fine.
It's just saying that compulsory service is neoliberal.
Okay. What was your answer on the first contention? Like the police stuff? What was your answer?
Oh, I'm just saying. Oh, for on the police.
Yeah.
Just basically saying you can just extend the neoliberal case, saying that they won't ever like be kept in check,
Okay.
and that's too like your car is not specific to police in general.
Wait, Curry says looking to material conditions of violence is good, but your alt says we just need to reject the app. How is that a concrete solution?
Yeah, because by rejecting all capitalist structures, we reject all their
But
oppressive
how does that
effects.
solve for like material conditions of violence if you're just saying, hey, let's just vote neg to do this?
Yeah, because it's just basically saying that in this case, Like rejecting any capital, like whenever there's a capitalist instance and we just reject it, that's to make sure that we have like no oppression impacts or stuff like that, or like income inequality or leading to possible extinction.
Okay, I use 304. I'll send out the stuff from you. It'll be T case T case K count on. Okay, just send it.
Wait, quick question.
Yeah.
Your Sansi Advocate is a book, right?
What?
Your Sansi Advocate, is it a book?
What? Oh,
It's-
just ask me after.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't know how to use it.
Okay, so T case ends or K counterclaim. Are we good? Counterinterpret the act may read a plan making service and citizen malicious compulsory if they have a solvency affidavit publicly approves national service doesn't just mean military credit all 13 service can be one of many forms of military community or education. Our solvency affidavit also creates referring to it in the context of national services turns and outweighs their definition of these publicly controlled the premium predictability, not just random dictionary definitions. Also their definition is terrible. It's talking about AmeriCorps, but it's nothing about the app. Additionally, I need their inter police are a form of armed forces because they carry things like guns. Sure, it's a shitty I mean, but this is a terrible shell anyways. Now that if it's a counter one breath, I allow different apps use the same round every time, which is super repetitive on a 2 months topic where every round is about military service. Minecraft allows us to read things like citizen militias and things like this. We get a greater breadth of apps, so it's not repetitive, boring debates every time. Second is policy making substance focus on a single implementable policy without spec. We're not talking about real policy, and what we learn is useless. Most people don't advocate for conscription as much in the solvency advocate proof. This is a key part of literature we should be talking about. Know yourself proper. Well, your definition about AmeriCorps, it's terrible. Second, multi-round solves all your offense. We can talk about national service and other rounds. Three, side-by impact turns all your offense. Your argument is just like, hey, I wasn't able to prep the app, but that's not my fault. And affirming is harder. 8 point is empirical side-by proven in empirical side-by. B point 7463 times Q means a little bit of net ground loss is good to compensate for side-by. Your argument is terrible. You're just like I couldn't prep for your app because your app is too good, but that just means I wrote a good app. It doesn't mean that you were skewed from engaging. You say grammar, but I have a counter definition, so it just becomes a question of which definition is better. You can't weigh in the context of which is more grammatically correct. So fault of pragmatics. It's not my fault. You can't break the field context standard. It's terrible because it doesn't apply to my app. Additionally, the reasonability arguments. You can see the reasonability argument from the app substantive key to substantive education. Otherwise, every round turns into theory because it causes a race to the top where every round's about some marginally better interpret. That always means we only have a couple months to learn about the topic, but we can always get theory education and other rounds. This takes out all your arguments because they rely on you not having a red line, but the red line solves all your offense because it's not arbitrary. If I have a justified red line, it doesn't cause a race to the bottom. If my red line is justified, it means it's a good norm. Now the case. Whoops, you read Curry and a khaki. You double. That's a pretty much a huge double turn. You say we need to look to real world pressure. This is the absence of pros and concrete solution to things like police
domination and resolve police domination by establishing a check on the government. Your only argument is that a Republican relies on a concept of equality. They're not treated equally, but that's the whole point of the act. We decrease domination so they are more equal. Obviously we don't claim to solve every problem of inequality, but the act still makes things better and resolves material conditions of police violence, whereas your alt is terrible and it's just saying reject capitalism, but that doesn't do shit for people who are being oppressed in these status quo. The act is the only one with a risk of solving. Now the K. One, the role of us to evaluate the applicant's competitive policy option is key fairness. 8 point means the one you see forces when and restart exacerbated by things like times B point, infinite chaos, makes the one is the infinitely unpredictable. C point often is non-unique. You can just read your role about when you're applicant. You can get that discussion, but it's still important to talk about the fairness first. 8 point, a gateway issue, precludes my ability from gaining in case you don't know if it's true. B point, a link to your role about. You can't find an effective solution to capitalism. Be critical contestation both sides. Your link is terrible. It's not. It's about community service. That's not what the act is. The act says people should be forced to join the police force and establish a check on the government. Governing with the government, that's not what community service is. CX was devastating. It's about Peace Corps in America, where that's not at all what the app is. This also means that if the link is to the case, there is that the link is comparatively tiny, so the case is submitted now waiting to be resolved. Material impacts of violence, the far right, and it's all huge, all causes things like overpopulation is probably the reason why we have these crises. No reason is specifically accountability. PerfCon, you're at a debate camp reading off a computer. This proves that you're entrenched in capitalism. So you can't reject capitalism. You're doing this right now. Also permutation. No reason we can't do a the alt in all their instances, either all their instances don't overcome their residual link to the after the alt's not strong. If also Curry takes out the K because he says material conditions of violence. Now the counterplan. Permanent growth is not competitive at all with the app. Also, I don't turn it, so that means you have to go for it, but this contradicts with the K because it's literally saying you should do things like private student loans, which is the huge capitalist. You're participating in a free market system. You can't go for both the K and the counterplan, but you have to because the K is unconscious. You had 126.
Yeah.
Do you have a question you wanted to ask before?
I was just saying if your Solvency Advocate was a book.
Was a book?
Yeah, was it a book?
Would have been part of a book.
Okay, sweet. No, I was just wondering because I have the book downloaded on my laptop. That's why.
Let's see. I'm not sure if it's a book.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I know it's accessible online though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a chapter. Anything new?
I don't know.
What's the order?
Just collapse on top of Calvin.
T. Okay.
Okay, sorry, my laptop's. Okay. My point basically argues that if he has a Solvency Advocate, then you have to look towards his definition. First, his book is called United We Serve, National Service and Future of Citizenship. If you look to page 79, it specifically talks about how national service encompasses both military and civilian services to our country, which basically means that his own Solvency Advocate is defining military service as not only like this militia service he's talking about, but as national service as civilian and military. And because his own counter intro talks about if he has like a Solvency Advocate, which argues that that national service talks about like citizen militia is compulsory, then like he basically links but because of that, he like violates his own counter-inter, which means that, and because I already agree that topicality operates on the highest level of debate in cross-section, he also agreed with that. We have to look towards the topicality shelf first. But onto the argument, basically talking about like he basically makes like this argument saying topically provides national service doesn't just mean military, and basically talking about like service could take many forms, example military and community, but extend the standards. Basically say you have to look towards our definition first because we have it in the field of context. It is a book which literally analyzed a whole bunch of like national service policies, and based on that then it derived the meaning that is only military service. This Crego et al. 13 has no credentials compared to that of the book. It's from Huffington Post. So because of that you cannot look towards it, and because you have to like, extend the idea that because there's like more context in the affirmative, you have to like, I mean on the negative definition you have to look towards my definition first, which means you look towards the topicality shelf. So now onto the argument talking about debt. Bread like outweighs debt. Onto bread versus debt, this makes no sense. Debt always record is more educational if we engage in like if we engage in like multiple apps rather than like engage like this one type of app. Because if we engage in only one type of app, then we like do not get and like get proper knowledge of the topic as a whole. We only focus on one piece of the topic rather than getting like topic education, which means like you can like just basically turn the idea of like how debt goes over bread, because like you can't allow different apps if you only focus on one type of solvency advocate. And talking about like policy making things spec, let's just focus the debate on a single implementation policy without spec. We're not talking about real policy, and what we learn is useless. The argument with the problem is like policy making respect, you like outweigh the definition, saying this definition doesn't matter because his own solvency advocate just like goes against what he's saying, because he's claiming that his solvency advocate defines national service as only that of like Melissa, and that we have to implement like that, when it clearly talks about like he literally defines national service as like both military and like citizen. But even then look towards our author's definition more, so because our author is like more credible compared to their author, and he dropped a field context argument, you can pretty much just like extend that and just say that we went on the topicality inter by itself. So now going on to the K. So going on to the case on the civic republicanism and how he solves for it. So on the idea of the case, he basically says like, oh, Curry like does not go against it like contradicts it all in the double turn. Curry talks about we have to like focus on like oppressive we have to focus on oppression and real world consequences rather than abstraction. All this basically saying that if we reject app by voting for neg, then we can just basically win based on that, because if we reject all instances of capitalism, then we make sure that capitalism as a whole is deconstructed in the debate round, and because of that, that's why Curry still stands, because Curry is basically saying we can't focus on these abstraction policies, we have to focus only on like oppressive. So these ideas of civic republicanism or like having government checks, these are all not as important compared to like real world consequences of like in this case, and the real world consequence of literally like rejecting the voting negative, that you're going to reject all instances of capitalism. Is no double turn here, doesn't make any sense. After he never permed the all, this basically means that the all still stands, and like there's no actual data. After he still links, because he's saying that he doesn't like really, he's only talking about civil militia, but again his own car talking about like civic engagement in general, and that his own author talks about like how he like civic militia is just one form of national service, but like national service as a whole is like military service, and national service as a whole is like community service in general. So that means he defines like he still links to military service. So the link is like pretty much, even if he tries to perm next round, which he can, the link is search as a data to the perm, and reason why you loses on the K itself. So now going towards the idea of the CP loan forgiveness. So on the loan forgiveness, CP really argue like he really basically says like it doesn't make any sense and that it's not mutually exclusive. But idea of CP is that the idea of loan forgiveness, Hillary Clinton even explained that right now in the status quo that you can have like national service and loan forgiveness together at the same time, because of the fact that and the only way to do that is if it's like voluntary. If you make it compulsory, then like the idea of like loan forgiveness will go out the issue, and we won't access the impacts of like helping the students. So because of that, you can also just like vote on the CP by itself. But because I'm already winning the topicality debate and it operates at a high level, you vote on the topicality. Yeah.
Okay, I have. What was it? You write it down?
56 seconds.
56? Cool. Starting. Oh, actually, stop prep. Can you send me the article where my solvency advocate says that?
Mm-hmm. I sent it. It's a picture of 79 pages.
Okay. Restart. Okay, it'll be T, A, C, K, counterpoint. Coming time. Everybody good? Yeah. Conceded that I need to shell police or armed forces. I know it's a terrible argument, but it goes conceded that means I need to shell. There's no abuse that takes out all this just terminal defense to shell. If there's no violation, that means that means the round is over. Until he also independently concedes reasonability with the red line. Yeah, being about a type of national service and being throughout the U.S. This is conceded means since I meet the red line that he concedes the reasonability red line means you can't vote negative on T. So the I mean reasonability means you can't vote negative on T. Also, the article he tries to use is terrible. This is not my author's article, and this just shows that it can encompass both military and civilian service, but his interest says it can only be military service. That doesn't prove that it can't also be other things. This isn't a spec good bad debate. It's just a question of what type of national service. And my evidence proves that it could be a type of national service. And the evidence he reads shows that civilian service and serving in police could also count as a type of national service. So that still proves that I mean reasonably. I don't know why I'm spending so much time on this, but okay, now the case. He concedes that I resolve material violence in the real world with the police domination. The status quo the absolved by ensuring that the police have a check upon them. This is conceded. All you need to do is weigh this against the K. Go to the K flow. One, he concedes the role about is to evaluate the applicant's policy option in the score. That means the round is over because he doesn't defend a competitive policy option. BC defending, he goes for the all this. He concedes this boots the 1AC forces 1 error restart, which is exacerbated by times he fares concludes the K because since the gateway issue can't evaluate the truth of play means the round is automatically over. His rate's explanation of the link is terrible. He says my offense about civic engagement, which could also apply to community service, but just because my offense could logically apply to other things doesn't mean that's what I defend. My plan is about serving in the police. So even if my offense could be about other things, sure, civic engagement is good, but I don't defend other forms of civic engagement. I just defend the plan as being good. He also concedes that there's no impact to the KBs. There's huge alt causes through things like overpopulation, which means there's no reason to vote negative, even if you win the alt. He also concedes the permutation to the alt in all their instances. Either all their instances vote is sufficient to overcome the residual into the app, but the alt's not strong enough. Means since he goes for the K unconditionally, that means that the permutation automatically means you vote app. Now the counterclaim. He says we can't have both, but this argument wasn't in the 1 and 6 issue projected. 2, this is incoherent. It has no more unless you can explain to me why we can't both increase loan forgiveness and ensure that and have people do compulsory service in police forces. Then you should vote affirmative. It's incoherent, has no explanation. We can obviously do both. He also concedes that this contradicts with the cap cane since he's going for both in the 2 and R. That means that there's no way you can vote negative because it's literally incoherent. He double turns himself because the cap cane says hey, all this free market loan forgiveness stuff is bad, and then the counterpoint says, hey, we should do this to solve the economy. This makes no sense. The app resolves material conditions of violence. That's the most important thing under his Curry framing. He concedes the I mean reasonability on T, and he just double turns himself all over. He concedes way too much. Get around. But he's your honor. Your honor going
I can announce. All right, so congratulations on making it to quarterfinals of VBI LA2 camp tournament. The decision is a 3-0 for the affirmative. I'll go first. I thought the round goes pretty south from cross-X on. For one, on the T-shell, the definitions argument, I think you should need a better definitional card that describes the totality of what national service is in a more abstract sense that doesn't say name these specific programs. Even in the 2-and-R, if I wanted to give you the interpretation debate, I think Rex is right. There's a conceded not meet argument, as well as I think that he's still ahead on the standards debate. The argument you make about reasons why you prefer having like more AFs is the exact argument that he goes for in the 1AR. Like, I provide a different kind of AF besides just national military service every round, probably good for education. There's also not a voter extended on the T-shell. And then from there, we collapse down to the critique and the counterplan and the case debate. I think that Rex is probably right on the top of the sort of argument case debate on that there is a contradiction in these arguments in two different ways. The first is the Curry evidence that says that we prefer trying to solve material conditions. While I think that that's good, I think the AF does try to solve material conditions through non-nomination. I think that the Cap-K probably does not have a solid explanation of why it solves material conditions coming out of the 1NZ. Then also the same thing between the Cap-K and the counterplan. I think the counterplan would definitely link to the Cap-K because you say on one flow, Cap bad, the way we view money, financial systems is terrible, we should solve that. But then on the other flow, on the counterplan, you say we have loan forgiveness that helps solve the economy. Seems to link. And I think that the app has a good risk of solvency on the rest of the offense for the round, and so that's how I vote.
So I voted in a pretty similar way. I think that the first thing I would consider is the office the app has. I'm going to start off on T since T is the highest layer of the round. So honestly, I think the best way to evaluate the T debate is through first the paradigms, and you're conceding that reasonability is the way in which we evaluate T, and then all of the reasons why you prefer reasonability, as well as the reasons why the app is reasonable. So I think at that point it seems really easy to give the app letter the like topicality, right? But even if I look to like sort of the other parts of it, like the under competing interpretations, I guess, you're definitely mishandling the way that the IMET was made. So I could probably see the IMET as term if it's on T. Then the next two things I have to go through is the Cap-K and the counterplan. So I agree with everything that was said about like the contradictions between the Cap-K and the counterplan, as well as the Curry evidence being read with like a reject AF alt. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Now, in particular, I think I would end up voting on the permutation on the K because that's where you have the offense in terms of like resolving actual like material conditions, and also if you're going to go for either like the K or the counterplan, right? I get that you're defending both unconditionally, but you're like, I guess like one thing I would say is if you're gonna go for T, I would spend 6 minutes on it, or at least like collapse to T, and then say why comes first. You're not necessarily kicking out of the counterplan or the K, but you are like saying why one layer just comes first. And then the same thing can be made on the other two. The other thing I would say is that you had responses on the AC that could be classified as turns that weren't responded to in the 1AR that I guess could have salvaged like some offense for you in the 2NR. The only problem with them is that they're really dependent on what you read in terms of like the 3 alpha cases. So try to make turns that are like independent of them on the app. And that also applies for like the 1A and the 2A. You probably should start off by extending offense to the AC. This way, just like it's obvious that you have offense like your advantages of the permutation, right? If they're not explicitly extended, a lot of judges just won't vote on it, right? So that's just like something to keep in mind.
I guess loading loss is not fun because everyone kind of said everything already. Outside of the reasonability answer part from the T debate, I guess I was kind of buying the IME, even though it's really bad. I kind of buy it, like overall T debate, because that's kind of gone. So you go to the K. I think Perm's conceded. I think once you concede Perm, you also kind of concede some no-link arguments. They weren't too strong, but they were also not heavily touched on or impacted in the 2N. So at that point, K flows out. That's where I kind of ultimately made the decision. Then there's a double-bind argument, which I think is just true. So like you should only go for both, one for the other, but like not both.